Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is deleted. Posted to r/AmITheAsshole, August 20th, 2018. Am I the asshole for not hiring a girl because her dad initiated the process? I manage a store, and one of my customers started emailing me about wanting his 16-year-old daughter to get a job here. I sent him an application and told him to have her send it back to me. He sent it back to me a day later, and he has emailed me 2 or 3 times in the past 10 days to check on it. I've yet to even speak to or see his daughter. I honestly have absolutely zero interest in meeting with this girl because I have a stack of applications filled out by fully functioning adults who applied on their own accord rather than with daddy's direction. I'm going to interview her solely because I don't want to upset an annoyingly persistent yet well-paying customer, but I've already made up my mind that I'm not hiring her. Am I the asshole? Verdict, asshole. Top comments. Empirical anarchism. I think you're the asshole solely because you're going through the motions of the interview process without having any intention of hiring her. In layman's terms, that's called wasting everybody's time. Now, it's certainly true that her father is wasting your time, and you should seek recourse to that by being upfront that you aren't seriously considering her for the job. Because of your attempt at duplicity, you've now created a situation where your only morally justifiable action would make you look like an atrocious asshole, and likely cost your business semi-tangibly through the loss of that individual's business, which suggests to me that even though I think you know the right thing to do, I also very much expect you not to do it. But the short answer is yes, you are the asshole. User running Triceratop comments, next time, because I bet this happens again, tell him to have his daughter email for the application, and go from there. This time, it's wasting her time a bit because you've decided not to hire her already, but bring her in for an interview. There's a slim chance he's just super overbearing, and she's totally capable. I'd ask her in the interview about why her dad emailed, and for examples of her handling new things or small changes without her parents' help. And I'd tell her that in the future, whether or not you hire her, she should not let dad apply for her. Update, April 20th, 2019, 8 months later. It's been a while. At the time, I proceeded with my asshole plan. I interviewed her to appease her father, but I had no intention of hiring her. However, when I finally met her, I was pleasantly surprised. She was very mature, clearly intelligent and well-spoken, and apologized for her dad's relentless behavior. I was singing a different tune by the end of the interview, and I did offer her a job, but her availability did not match our very specific needs at that time. However, about 2 months ago, we opened a second location, and we're hiring for all shifts. I reached back out to her to see if she still managed to be interested, even though the commute would be further than the original site. She accepted and quickly became perhaps my most trusted employee. As of today, she's the only employee I have who has never called off, been late, or left early. Thanks to those of you who called me out and who made me realize her father's actions were not necessarily indicative that she would be a slouch. So, when I was 16 and my dad wanted me to get a job, which I was very sad and upset about because I was beginning to get really into Unity and Unreal Engine and learning C. I still have some of the books for that to this day. But my dad barged into my room one summer morning while I was working on an Unreal Engine game, and he's like, "You're gonna get a job. I don't want you on the computer all summer." I do sometimes wonder what would have happened if I did continue to explore, Unreal Engine and getting good at that, but, that was a once upon a time thing. But when I was first entering the job market, this is when companies were really starting to push the whole brand new online application thingamabob. And that sucked. Because my dad was like, you gotta go in there and you gotta give them an application or ask for one and just be upfront and present about getting a job. And just that would have worked for your time, Dad, but I went in there and asked for one and they told me to go apply online and the portal just says pending. So I don't know what to tell you. This then later led me to apply to my first job, which was this froyo/burger/grill place that was just a mess of a company and definitely struggling and was filled to the brim with labor violations, but 16-year-olds didn't know better, so he got away with it. But my point being is I wouldn't be surprised if the reason why the dad was harping on it so much is because she was trying to explain that, hey, things are not as they were 30 years ago. It's pretty different now, and It's not really working how you're telling me it will. And now he's like, well, I'll just show you how it's done. And that then leads us to the scenario we see in front of us here. That's just my 2 cents, though. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Playful Magician 831, posted to r/amItheasshole with an H, December 26th, 2025. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend I'm tired of chasing her after 6 years together? My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 31 male, have been together for 6 years. I've been planning to propose soon, but I've been struggling with issues I've brought up since day 1 of our relationship that haven't changed. The main issue: I feel like I'm constantly chasing her for affection and attention, especially in social settings. When we're in groups with her family or friends, she won't come on to me. I always have to go to her. She won't initiate conversation with me unless I speak first, and even then, she just gives short answers without asking me anything back. When I suggest things, she'll say no. But when someone else suggests the exact same thing, she'll do it. What makes this harder is that she's bubbly and engaging with other people, but cold towards me. It's like she saves all her warmth for everyone else. I feel like she always prioritizes her convenience instead of our relationship. Some examples of what I mean. 1. We usually meet closer to her place, 2 hours commute from me. Even for my birthday celebration, we plan each other's birthdays, she still wanted me to travel to her area rather than meeting somewhere more convenient for me. 2. At social gatherings with her family, she'll leave me alone without saying anything, even though I don't know her family well and was expecting her to include me or at least stay with me, or just check in from time to time if I'm alright. 3. When our relationship was struggling and was about to break up, I suggested couples therapy, which I offered to pay for. Her first concern was that the location was inconvenient for her. I've raised these issues repeatedly over 6 years, but nothing has changed. Recently, I sent her a message saying that after 6 years together, I don't want to feel like I'm still chasing her or courting her, and that I'm not going to pursue her all the time anymore. Her response was just a question mark and then silence. It's been over a day and she hasn't messaged me. Historically, I've always been the one to reach out first and apologize, even when I'm the one who's hurt. I decided not to respond to the question mark because I felt like that would just be chasing her again. But now I'm second-guessing myself. Was I too confrontational? She's never been in a relationship before, so maybe she just doesn't understand what she's doing. Am I the asshole? Edit 1. Thank you guys for all of the advice. I'm now starting to see how dumb I am for not considering to end this sooner. I will not message her, and will give an update if she ever reaches out. Also, an info I wanted to add. I lost my father 2 years ago and I've been struggling with depression. I guess part of the reason I put up with this is that I really didn't want to lose another important person in my life. Edit 2. This is mostly on social settings, but it's fine when it's only the two of us. We were happy these past years, though yes, she indeed has selfish tendencies sometimes. And I'm at my limit about this issue, I guess. Edit 3. Let me clarify the dynamics with her family. The main thing is that I'm still sort of the outsider, and she's much closer to them compared to me because I only see them a couple times a year. I actually sometimes feel much more comfortable conversing with her family than her because they would ask me questions to extend the conversation. I actually got super close with her 2 male cousins instantly because I found out we share some hobbies in gaming and anime. But even with this, is it not fair for me to expect her to come to me from time to time and not me chasing her around all day? Or is it too much overthinking? Am I the asshole with an H has no consensus bot. OP was unanimously not the asshole, but you're the asshole for putting up with his girlfriend for 6 years. I hate those kind of comments. Why can't you just say, not the asshole, you don't have to put up with this, instead of, you're the asshole, you shouldn't be putting up with this? Like, what benefit does it give to be contrarian? Relevant comments. Comment 1. Not the asshole. Time to move on, dude. OP responds, deep inside I know this, but I'm really struggling with the guilt of wasting her prime years of starting a family, so I'm always convincing myself that this might work once I marry her. I didn't really expect the singular question mark as her sole response for bringing it up. Commenter 1. She's the one who has wasted your time by continuing to treat you the way she does. OP responds, I never considered this before. Thank you. I guess my mental state is pretty fucked up from this. I just really wanted it to work and I kept on ignoring things, but I'm really tired at this point. OP on his and the girlfriend's backgrounds. OP responds, we're both Asian. We live somewhere in Southeast Asia. I assume it's Southeast Asia because that makes more sense than Seattle. Commenter 2, not the asshole. I'm shocked you could keep this up for 6 years. No judgment. I think plenty of people do stuff like this, and it's human to love someone and want to make it work. I'm almost always single because I give feeling unseen and unwanted in a relationship 1 year, tops. Usually less than half that, lol. It could be that you have different approaches to things, or some other kind of explanation like she's masking with other people, bubbly, but feels comfortable enough with you to be herself. But if you have continuously brought things like this up for 6 years and she responds with distance, and she hasn't been open to counseling, oh my gosh, do not get married. Opie responds, I really love her, and wanted this to work so badly, but I'm really tired right now. I guess there's always a limit to everything. Commenter 3, not the asshole, you told her what you wanted and needed in your relationship, and her juvenile response was, huh? Wow, the only thing serious about this stunted, selfish woman is that she is seriously an asshole. Reread what you wrote here. Would you advise a friend to stay in a relationship like this? I don't think so. Be a friend to yourself and end this one-sided relationship for yourself now. Trust that she already has. Move on, Opie, and work on your self-esteem. Opie responds, yeah, I was really taken aback from her response, or lack thereof. I expected her to at least make me clarify or talk about it more, even if she doesn't agree with what I said. Commenter 4, not the asshole. She isn't going to change. Is this something you can/want to live with? This is clearly a one-sided relationship. Why are you putting yourself through this? Opie responds, it was worse before, actually. When we were at their home, she often would speak a different dialect to her family, so I'm just sitting there like an idiot, not understanding anything. It did get better, but still, the same issue. And it still hurts. I'm now realizing how dumb I am for putting up with this for so long. Small update, December 27th, 2025. Small update, I couldn't help myself. After she ignored my vulnerable message for 2 days, I reached out again last night with messages explaining how hurt I was by her dismissiveness and asked if she wanted to meet up. I also told her I think we have an anxious, avoidant attachment dynamic and sent her videos and detailed explanations about it, hoping she'd finally understand where I'm coming from and maybe even give us a starting point on how we can fix the relationship. Her response? She completely ignored everything I said and just told me, I'm going to the insert mall we usually meet at. Anyway, you can come if you want. So even after pouring my heart out about feeling dismissed and invisible, she dismissed me and made me feel invisible again. It really hurts. I'm meeting her today. I know everyone is going to tell me I'm an idiot, and you're probably right, but I need to do this face to face. I'll break up with her. Quote-unquote final update, February 19th, 2026, nearly 2 months later. Final update? We're engaged! I know, 99% of you told me to break up with her. Honestly, I don't blame you based on what I shared. Some of you will probably be disappointed reading this, but just hear me out. During the meetup, after the small update, we had the most honest conversation we've had in 6 years. She was open and acknowledged that she might have a dismissive avoidant attachment style stemming from past trauma. I was actually the one who brought it up and shared resources about it, and it just clicked for her. Something she'd never really considered before, but it was dead on. We're committing to couples therapy together, and she's also open to individual therapy for herself. And yes, I proposed, and she said yes. Because even through all of this, I realized I can't imagine living my life with anyone else. Even in moments like these, I'd still choose her, and that I really love her so much. I'm going in with clear eyes though. I'll keep communicating my needs, and I'm hopeful that with the work we're both putting in, we can finally break the cycle we were stuck in. Thanks for the advice either way, it genuinely helped me have that conversation. Update, July 25th, 2026. So, I posted this around 6 months ago before I really contemplated whether to still give the relationship a chance and whether to propose. This is the link to the original post. I stupidly ignored all of your advice and went on with the proposal, being hopeful of the self-awareness my girlfriend showed during our heart-to-heart talk after. I realize now that this was a mistake. It's really not a good idea to love someone's potential instead of who they are currently. What happened after is that she never made any concrete steps about the therapy she promised and just went back into her avoidant tendencies, ignoring my needs. Even with all that, I was still willing to push through with it, actually. That I admit was stupid, in my part. The last straw for me happened just last Sunday, when we were on a pre-wedding tradition in our country where the families of the couples would meet up and bond, and where the couples would proclaim their love for one another. She said in this event that she doesn't need a man to be complete and that I'm just a nice bonus for her. Also that she's the type of person not to feel butterflies in her stomach or excitement in the relationship, but she appreciates my consistency. Worst part is she never said she loved me in this event. Not even once. I understand that being independent is good, but it's not the right time and place for this, when it's supposedly the day we should show our love for one another in front of our families. I felt really unwanted during that moment, and I felt invalidated again for all my efforts and sacrifices. I talked with her earlier today about the hurts, and she invalidated me again. That's when I decided to stand my ground and choose myself this time. At the end, she handed me back the ring, and we broke up. Stupid to not end this sooner, but I have found respect for myself after neglecting my needs for far too much. In the end, I think I was indeed the asshole to both of us for dragging this on. Oh my fucking god, Reddit. For dragging this on far too long. Thank you for all the advice. I hope we both heal from this in the future. Too Long Didn't Read ignored all Reddit's advice, still went on with the engagement, promises were broken, and after the last straw of invalidation, finally broke up. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Whew, you dodged a bullet here. OP responds, yes, I felt that I already poured everything I could have in that relationship, but in the end, all of it was invalidated again. Never again. But I learned a lot, and I have no regrets. Commenter 2. Man, ignoring the advice and pushing through was rough, but learning from it is huge. The ring return and breakup sounds painful, but necessary. You deserve better than feeling like a bonus. Proud of you for choosing you. OP responds, yeah, I really tried to push through with it, which was stupid in my part, but glad I had the courage to end things before getting married. Commenter 3. I'm so sorry you had to experience that much emotional pain. I was once in a relationship where I was the only one giving love and never really got any back. After we broke up, I kept wondering why I had held on for so long. Someone once told me, there is a point at which you have to choose to either let go or be dragged. I let go, and once I was over my heartbreak, my life became so much better. You have all my empathy, OP. OP responds, yes, this was not an easy decision to make, especially when you still love the person, but I realized that I was clinging on to her potential rather than who she was at the moment. That was the big mistake. What was the girlfriend's reaction to the breakup? OP responds, she didn't expect it, then she shut down. Like, literally, she couldn't say a word. We had our closure via messages after. OP responds on not taking the ex back. Actually, she already messaged me the night of. She asked if it's already too late for therapy. I said she should do it for herself rather than for me. This comes across as though she thought that she could maintain the status quo that she had been going on because OP in 6 years never did anything about it. So for him to suddenly do something about it, despite her ignoring all the warning signs, is shocking. Because he was, well, willing to put up with it for so long. The only mistake that OP made here was getting engaged so soon after. What he should have done was, after they had that conversation, was let it play out for 6 months to a year to see if she actually has shown a change and is willing to actually grow and be the equal half in the relationship. Instead, he had one positive conversation and popped the question. That was a mistake. And of course, my usual rant and tangent about them calling OP the asshole for not ending the relationship, or doing this to himself. He's not the asshole for wasting her time, she wasted his, and Reddit kind of got it into his head that he was in the wrong here, which could have potentially led him to be desperate to try to fix things. Every time I hear someone pull the "you're the asshole to yourself," I just imagine them adjusting their fedora, drinking Mountain Dew, and eating a few Cheetos as they smugly cross their arms after pressing enter on the keyboard. It just really comes across that you're being contrarian for the sake of contrarian, and trying to put some kind of bespoke wisdom into your comment. There's nothing wrong with saying, not the asshole, but don't do this to yourself, you deserve better, instead of saying, you're the asshole to yourself for putting up with this. I know that I bring this up so often and every time it comes up, but it is just a personal pet peeve of mine because it feels more destructive than constructive. I think the "you're the asshole" label should really be reserved for someone who is actively the problem in the story, and not someone who's trying to navigate an emotionally confusing situation. Looking from the outside in, you can see the house. Looking from the inside out, you can only see what's available to you through the window. So yeah, of course their perspective is going to be extremely narrow. Rather than call them the asshole for not having more windows, why not guide them to the front door instead? This post was clicked by Shattenspringer, and their tagline is, waste of a read, literally no drama. The original OP is at scary and scree, posted to r/offmychest October 23rd, 2023. To all the parents of Reddit, please keep your children under control. Because of a careless parent, I am now disabled. It's another night where the pain won't let me sleep. Might as well get this off my chest while I wait for the painkillers to kick in. I, 22 female, used to work at a thrift store close to my house from December of last year until April. I used to go thrifting there with my mother. I applied out of nostalgia. The work was fast-paced, but I liked it. I would have liked it more if the clothes were cleaner, if the pay was minimum wage, and, if there were no kids that'll attack you. We had many regulars who, with time, I became acquainted with, mostly because I was the only Spanish-speaking worker on the sales floor. One of them was a mother of 3, whose children always caused trouble, running around the store, breaking stuff, and no matter how many times I told the mother to keep their kids in line, she'd only scold them for a second, and let them cause havoc around the store again. I never would have guessed that one of her kids would attack me. This wasn't the first time the kid hit me, but it was the first time where it genuinely hurt. I don't know what that kid's head was made of, but when the kid headbutted me full force in the hip while attending his mother, I curled and cried from the pain. I had to prevent the child from hitting me again while his mother was still looking at the red dress I handed her. My only guess to why the kid attacked me was because I had the red dress in my hands, and the kid was playing pretend to be a bull. He was doing that foot thing you see bulls doing in bullfighting. My managers didn't call an ambulance for me, or referred me to a work accident doctor like they should have. I had to limp to my car and drive myself to my family doctor where I waited 2 hours to be seen. I was given an x-ray, ultrasound, MRI, and painkillers. They detected an ovarian cyst, most likely from the hit. Doctors thought that was the source of my pain, but it healed since, and to this day, 6 months after the work accident, I'm still in pain and I still limp. I'm currently in a workers' comp case with the thrift store's insurance, only because the mother fled when my coworkers confronted her and never came back. My lawyers said that when the case is over, I'm most likely going to be on some sort of disability pension, paid by the thrift store's insurance company, until, or if, I make a full recovery. It's been 6 months with no signs of getting better. I can't walk long distances, I can't sit down for long, I can't crouch, I can't jump, I can't run, and I can't lay on my left side anymore. The pain won't let me sleep. I constantly feel something whooshing around my left hip joint, and I have nightmares about that day. What I'm trying to say is, I really miss the mobility and life I used to have. My life is just constant pain now, and it's making me depressed. So to all the parents who might see this, please, for the love of God, keep your child under control. Edit. Thank you everyone for your comments, support, and advice. I'm really grateful to all the kind people here. I'm removing the post because I started to get threats from users who are calling this all bullshit. I know now there's no correlation with the ovarian cyst and the work accident, but my doctors had told me it was. I am sorry for the confusion. I know it all sounds absurd, but it happened, and I'm in pain every day because of a careless mother and her reckless kid. I simply just want to get this off my chest. I'm going to keep the post up purely because so many comments were so helpful, and I want to mention some things commented here to my lawyers. My guess would be is each little paragraph section here is a different update at a different time. Again, thank you everyone who gave me advice and shared similar stories. I'm feeling hopeful and will advocate more for my health. Smiley face. Notable comments! Frankie File. As a doctor, I can completely assure you that external trauma cannot cause an ovarian cyst. I am sorry for your injury. OP responds. I've read some comments about this and I'm almost shocked by it. My family doctor had explained to me that's what caused it, so I just took it. When it burst a couple of days later, I was put on birth control to help it heal. I genuinely am just finding this out and I'm sorry for all the confusion it caused. User Puzzle-Headed Door 894 comments, American doctors be like, are you a woman with a broken bone? Try birth control. Update, January 21st, 2024, about 3 months later. It's been around 3 months since I posted here ranting about my work accident. If this is your first time seeing this, I had a work accident at my old job at a thrift store where a kid who was known to be trouble headbutted me in the hip, and the mother denied it all and fled. Ever since, I've been more persistent with the workers' comp after everyone told me that I was misinformed and not represented well. I waited this long because just this month, I got the news of what's really wrong with me. At first, I was told that my ovary and the cyst around it was the cause of the pain, that the kid hit me so hard that it caused a cyst to form and pop. Just thinking that's what I believed is silly, but like I said, I was misinformed. 2 MRIs with contrast later, they figured out I had a labral tear on the left hip joint, as well as hip bursits, a swelling of the bursae. I haven't been able to work or walk well since April of last year. I've been taking it as calmly as I can, but finally, I'm going to receive treatment. 2 steroid injections to the hip. The doctor is hopeful that my labral tear will heal, but he warned me the bursits might be permanent. That's where I am right now. I'm just waiting for the shots to get approved. I did start receiving TTD checks, but the pain is still a 24/7 thing. At least my muscle relaxants helps me sleep through the night. Smiley face. Update 2, August 8th, 2026, about 3 years later. I don't know if anyone remembered the post I made 2 years ago on a different account. I had to delete my old account since I was getting way too much hate for judging the mother of the kid who injured me. I'm talking hundreds of people arguing in the comments and many nasty DMs. However, after 3 long years, it's nearing its end. First 3 paragraphs are a recap. Oh boy, here we go. I used to work at a very popular thrift store chain in the US. I started working for them when I was 21 in 2022. It was a very underpaid job, but I enjoyed it. Being the only Hispanic on the team, it meant I was the person who had to help Spanish-speaking clients. Most of them were incredibly nice, but a frequent shopper, a mom of 3, none older than 10, would give the store a horrible time. She'd let her children run around the store unattended. They'd climb on the clothing racks, cause havoc in the toy section, and damage whatever they could. I felt more like a babysitter at that point, and of course, no matter how many times I tell the mother to tend to her children, she never once listened. One day in April 2023, the same mother and children came to the store, and the mom had questions about a dress she saw on the racks. She handed me the dress, seeing if I could figure out how to style it, and I switched it around, trying to figure it out. In the corner of my eye, I see her middle child, maybe 6 years old, doing that same mannerisms bulls do before they attack the matador. I didn't mind it, and continued helping the mother when the kid suddenly rams onto me, full force, with his head, right on my left hip joint. Only the people who have experienced a labral tear know how that felt. I couldn't fathom how much pain I was in over something so ridiculous. The mother didn't even braid her son or told him to stop. In fact, the kid tried ramming for a second time when I had to physically hold his head and yell at the mom to keep her child away from me. The rest was such a haze. I don't remember asking to go home early, but I ended up at my primary doctor, too broke to go to the ER. They thought this was an ovary issue at first. I used up all my sick days trying to recover, and I quit my job once my coworker told me that both of my managers were speaking ill of me, insisting I was faking my injury. The mother never came back to my workplace either. Once my savings was emptied out trying to figure out what was wrong with me, my family convinced me to open a workers' compensation case. It took me a little over a year to figure out I had a hip labral tear and minor damage to the femur. My job's insurance and their own doctors insisted and swore for years that the injury wasn't related to the accident, and I caused my own labral tear by being obese. Luckily, my workers' comp doctor always had my back, and I'm forever indebted to him. I was put on a no-work notice for 3 years, receiving disability checks. However, my job did not care, and pushed to place me under light work this entire time, since they're a very well-known company for hiring disabled folk. I'm telling you, as someone who's worked there and saw how they treat the disabled and seniors, I was not going to be comfortable there like they insisted. For 3 years, my life was on hold. I lost my early 20s to this case. I was too scared of going outside because of private investigators. I was in too much pain to do anything. And I lost my dad during this time too. I had planned to kill myself. When I got too drunk at a Christmas party and told my plans to who drunk me thought was Elijah Wood, I was put on watch. And with my boyfriend's help and my siblings' support, I got a little better. For 3 years, my old job's insurance denied the surgery I needed. I lost enough weight to undergo the knife, but they held to their guns right until the end that my labral tear wasn't related to what happened at my job. I decided I couldn't take it anymore and decided to settle my case instead. My lawyer's assistant mentioned this idea to me that I could settle and get the surgery in my hometown in Mexico, recover both my mind and body. This idea sold me immediately. I didn't even consider this was an option. Yesterday, during the final mediation, my job's insurance finally admitted that the injury was related to the work accident and offered to schedule the surgery right then and there instead of settling. I didn't even consider it. My old job's insurance company is actually evil and tried settling for only $20K until my lawyer managed to double it and then some. It does suck that after 3 years, I settled for $58,000 and that's before legal fees. However, I am free from Evil Deed Incorporated, and that's worth more than any amount of money in the world. Some might call me stupid for settling for so little, but you try being belittled by every doctor they brought forward, pointing at your weight instead of the actual injury for 3 years. Try enduring shots to the hip joint without prior notice or consent. And then try driving home because transportation was never approved. Get denied physical therapy or occupational therapy every single time, no matter how many doctors insisted I should get on it. I wasn't even on any arthritis medication despite my record saying I've developed severe osteoarthritis and hip bursitis. I took enough ibuprofen to give myself long-lasting stomach damage. I even gave myself a right hip injury from overworking it all these years. I want full control of my medical treatments. I don't want to be scared of going outside anymore. I want to catch up with everyone my age. For the first time in years, I'm hopeful towards my future. Once I get the surgery, I want to fulfill my goal. The whole reason why I even started working was to afford college. When I'm physically better, the first thing I'll do is hike the mountain I couldn't before, because that's where my dad's ashes are. The nightmare is nearing its end. I survived. Yippee. Comments by OP. The mom actually came back the very next day as if nothing happened. Instead of immediately calling the police, my coworkers surrounded the mom, yelling at her, and tried to trap her in the store until the cops arrived. She obviously got really scared and managed to flee before they could even call the police. I tried working for a week after I used up my vacation days just to see if she'd come back. However, once I realized she wasn't coming back, it wasn't worth the hip pain to continue working. And once I heard that the managers were gossiping about my injury, I quit. I heard years later that 2 other coworkers walked out the day after me in solidarity. Edit, forgot to mention I wasn't there when the mother came back to the store for obvious reasons. If I had been there, it would have gone way differently. I forgot to mention that for the first 1.5 years of my injury, I was a caregiver to my dad who later died of pulmonary fibrosis. Looking back, I genuinely don't know how I managed to do that. The day he died was the day I found out I was being followed by private investigators. My dad was already in at-home hospice care. My siblings were taking turns during the night to monitor him as he was deteriorating fast since entering a coma-like state where he couldn't stay awake for more than a couple of seconds. I stayed up with him from 4 a.m. until I had to leave to my WC doctor's office to receive the PI news that I was unaware of. The last words I told him was that I'd tell him all about my doctor's visit when I came back. He nodded and smiled, I kissed his forehead, and when I came back home, already mortified over private investigators, my dad was already gone. I don't think I can ever forgive my old job from robbing me the last moments I could have had with my dad. Everyone but me managed to say goodbye. My caregiver and survivor's guilt is still pretty strong, even after 2 years since his passing. When my lawyer told me if I went ahead with the surgery with them, that they'd expect me back to work, I decided to settle, cut ties forever with them. I don't want to return ever. Not only for the mistreatment, but because I never managed to properly say goodbye to my dad. Fuck Goodwill, man. Damn, what a ballsy name drop. Although I knew from the beginning that it was gonna end up being Goodwill. So this story has like 3 whole major kind of things going on here with it. The first one is OP asking people kindly to please make sure that your kids are actually being well behaved and not injuring someone permanently. And Reddit threw up their arms and go, "Don't tell me how to parent my kids. If they're gonna pretend to be a bull and injure you, they have every right to do so. How fucking dare you?" Followed up with OP's doctor being like, "Oh yeah, hip injury? Here's birth control. That'll fix it." Which only further goes to show how little care women are actually given in modern healthcare and how little they're taken seriously, which, that's super cool. Love that. Doesn't make me nervous as hell to have a daughter at all in the future. And then of course, the shining cherry on top. The fact that OP was harassed by private investigators and a bunch of shit over the course of the time that she was trying to recover from the injury, lost time to spend with her dad because she was being stalked, harassed, hounded, and being denied at every step of the way when her quality of life could have actually just been solved from the beginning. Instead, they played Duck Duck Goose for 3 years and ended up probably causing permanent damage to OP's body. How much money did you spend on legal fees and private investigators to drag this out for 3 years? I'd be very curious to know those numbers. Disgusting. This post was collected by Joy Subtraction, and their tagline is, "I will never jeopardize the beans." The original OP is IT Crowd Fanboy, posted to r/Tales from Tech Support, posted August 12th, 2015. I bought a server. Where's my website? So, my friend is a manager at a hosting company which offers basic web hosting, VPS, and dedicated servers. This one woman bought a $1,200 a month server with 256 gigabytes of RAM, and so on, and paid for a whole year in advance. As you may or may not know, dedicated servers offer only the hardware. Nothing is done to the host itself. When clients spend so much money, when they call in, they go straight through to a manager. So one day, the client, let's call her Pillock of the Underworld, POTU, called in, reaches my friend, and was frantic. Friend, hello, this is Generic Hosting Company. How can I assist you? Hello, I bought a server from you guys a few days ago, and on your website you claim 2-hour setup, but it isn't online yet. Friend, no problem, let me check it out for you. So, a friend checks their CRM and finds the server is in fact up and running. So he goes back on the line. That can't be. I'm going to insert pottery company name website here.com, and it isn't working. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you do realize that buying a dedicated server means you get only the host and nothing on it, right? So no website will be created for you. But I filled in the box for what you want this server for. Mind you, this is just a questionnaire box for customers to fill in optionally. And said it was for my pottery company. Well, that box is only to get feedback from our clients. I'm sorry, ma'am, you'll have to hire a web developer for that. You don't know what you're doing! I'm going to the bank to cancel the transaction! Fuck you, sir! Fuck you! Ma'am, wait. Followed by the distinct click of her hanging up. She did, in fact, get the transaction reversed under the claim that the company is fraud and got my friend into a lengthy, expensive investigation. Too long didn't read, woman buys metal, expects human baby to be created. By the way, a metal server just means it's bare bones. Update. Posted about the next day. Okay, so the previous tale happened a few weeks ago, and after the awesome response I got from you guys, I called up friend to get an update. The investigation ended a few days after the charge was reversed, and the investigation found that there was no wrongdoing in the part of the company, but their lawyers suggested a change in their terms of service. The lady later called back crying because she took out a bank loan to pay for the server and had no way to pay it back without the profit of the pottery company, which is why she had to reverse the charge. The call was being recorded and she confessed all that. So the recording was given to the police and the fraud charges were dropped. My friend asked her why she got such a big server. Editor's note, this was 11 years ago, so this would have been early 2000s. And apparently, she thought that 1 gigabyte of RAM meant that one person could access the website at once. So she wanted 250 to be able to get onto it at once. In the end, no real harm was done to the company beyond legal fees, which were paid by the woman since she fraudulently declared fraud, and the initial deployment cost of the server. She was obviously placed on the no-service list of the company. This is an incredibly painful lesson to learn, but when you're going to be doing anything that requires a pretty large budget to be spent, please, for the love of God, do as much research as possible into what you're actually purchasing. There have been times where I've been a bit of an idiot. I see something I think would be really good or helpful in my workflow. I purchase it, it arrives, it doesn't work, and oh, turns out it's not compatible with my system. Great. So then I gotta return it. In the excitement of thinking I'm getting exactly what I'm looking for an easy and, decent price, I skip a few steps, jump the gun, and end up with a product that doesn't actually serve the purposes I need. It also doesn't help that this happened in 2004, and I can only really guess or assume that the ability for the layman to find and navigate the internet to find the information they're looking for was probably pretty limited. Probably. Maybe. I had never really had the opportunity to play with Google and see how reliable it was in 2004, because I was 4. But that doesn't stop the fact that it is your responsibility as the consumer to at least ask questions and to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence. That's kind of all I'm getting at here. I also wonder what could have happened if she had explained the situation to them, if they would have actually been able to work with her and potentially do a refund, or at least a partial refund on the amount. You know, besides setup costs. Because it does suck that she took out a massive loan in hopes of getting her pottery website good to go and didn't do enough research and made a pretty heavy mistake. But rather than talk about it and try to work things out, instead, she opts to just immediately go, all guns blazing, right to the fraud department, instead of just having a conversation and talking with them. Because this probably could have ended really amicably. Like, you made a mistake by not doing your research or due diligence, and now you're trying to go after the company with a fraud charge. And on top of that, rather than actually working with them, she also had to pay for legal fees that they incurred because of dealing with said fraud charge. So not only did she probably have a hefty cost for the server that was really spec'd out for a pottery website, but also the legal fees that came with it. It almost feels like she was purposely making the absolute worst case scenario decisions just to see what would happen. Well, it's the outro. Don't forget to use GamerSupps, code YeetySkeety at checkout. That'd be super cool if you did that. Gives you 10% off with each purchase. They got caffeine and caffeine-free powders, plus also sleep aid powders that are pretty good. They also literally have a hot cocoa flavor where you put in hot water and put the mix in, and it gets you some hot cocoa to help you fall asleep. So that's pretty cool. Big fan of that one. Laundry machine installation was a success, but right now I'm kind of in the boat where now I'm starting to carve out and mark areas for a potential folding table and an area where I can hang my shirts up, so I'm not having to like have them in the closet with the fan on in the bathroom so they can like dry properly. But yeah, no, I'm actually like, you know, doing weird like DIY adulting stuff now, which is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm getting really frustrated with the Home Depot people, and I've started going to Lowe's to deal with the home renovation stuff. Because like the Home Depot people treat me like shit. Like a few months ago when I was working with PEX piping, I had to buy a PEX A stretcher thingamabob, the thing where it dilates the PEX A ring basically so it can just shrink around it. So I was working with PEX A and I was at the Home Depot and I was like, okay, like what do I need for PEX A? It's like, well, you probably can't go with PEX A because you see, PEX A needs this tool here and it costs $100. So we're probably going to want to go with PEX B. My house is done entirely with PEX A, by the way, so it would require me to switch from PEX A to PEX B just for that. But on top of that, like, don't shame me. So when he walked away after, like, walking me through how PEX B works, I bought the tool, and then went home and figured out PEX A. Did I at one point turn the exterior hose line off instead of the actual water line off and cut a PEX pipe and saw what, 3 gallons per second looked like? Yes. But did that mean that I wasn't able to properly install PEX A? No, just made one simple mistake, but it was a very quick fix. In stark contrast, however, when I went to Lowe's, the dude was like, hey, this may not be in your budget, but this is pretty sick here. Here's what it does. Talk to me like that, because that makes me actually feel like a person, and not like you're talking down to a child. Also, I realize that not everyone probably knows what PEX piping is. It's a replacement to copper piping in homes. It's like a plastic material that's very easily bendable. PEX A uses a dilation system where it expander, that's what it is, not dilator, where it expands the actual ring and the end of the hose itself, or pipe, like tubing, so you can put on a fitting and it contracts back around it, and it uses the seal of the plastic contracting to create a full watertight seal. PEX B, however, uses a crimp system where you put the PEX piping over the fitting, you put a crimp ring, and then you crimp it around it, so that way that's how that creates a watertight seal. And that pretty much leads to 2 entirely different systems of PEX fittings that you have to learn about and work around. But the Home Depot guy kept pushing me towards PEX B despite me literally telling him that my home had PEX A. I know this is such just a nothing issue, but I hope you guys enjoyed the rant. I've been on a bit of a streak of doing a bunch of renovation stuff recently. Like, I wanted to get a new fridge, but the fridge I want is too tall, so now I'm remodeling the fridge box so I can put the fridge that I want in. Plus, I'm also still, renovating my office, so I have, like, half the house being torn up by renovation projects, and I can't stop. So, yeah, at least this twink knows his way around a hardware store.